Hey guys, Chief here, and I'm back with another video. And we're gonna pick up where the last one left off. We went ahead and oops. Oh, sorry about that. Let's hit a button or something. Yeah, sure. Anyway, we're gonna continue where we left off for modeling this character's head. I went ahead and I continued to modify the ear a little bit, until it felt natural to me. And I'm going to continue working on the facial features of this character. So, go ahead and real quick to fix this. And I usually went ahead and fix it off screen so that I can get working, got to working right away on this. So now we're gonna work on the mouth now. There's another pretty difficult area to work on, but when we finish it though, it's going to be fun and rewarding when it's all said and done. So. Back here real quick. And there we go. That perspective. So now, like the eyes, we're going to work on the mouth now. And we're going to go ahead and use the imitated brush and basically open my little widget here. I want basically the corners of the mouth to at least be at least a middle of people here. That's what usually the usually on the nose and the mouth, usually the nose, the corner of the nose, but usually the edge of your nose where you cover the edge of your eye, and so the lips, so the mouth, we're gonna go this wide here. So we're gonna go ahead and use the Damon Thinner brush. We're gonna go in, start this brush strength. Here we go. And I basically want to make sure that we draw. There we go. So we're going to draw from this edge here to the middle. So we're going to do exactly that. So to do that, we're going to draw from here to get an idea of where the mouth's going to be. And we're going to start cutting in the mouth more. Pretty looks pretty angry right there. I don't know, maybe like Homer Simpson or something. And what I'm doing here is I'm drawing in where the mouth will go, and then we'll start. I want to fill out the inner mouth chamber for the character, because in the game because we have teeth and tongue in the character, so we want that to be to be true of the character. So go ahead and make this real quick. I had an old way of doing it, but it felt kind of destructive. And I can show you right now using a brush, using the clay tubes. I can just go ahead and start pushing back. Start pushing back the I can start pushing back the teeth a little bit. Using the alt brush to start cut through that a little bit. And then basically we're going to take the mouth cavity and sculpt that all the way back in the mouth there. Let's do that. We're going to sculpt it back. This is why we had the brush strength set high earlier, so that we can get it done a little quicker. I'm just going in right now and just real quick, filling out the mouth cavity. And we're almost at 300,000 polygons in this character, so this is a good start for us. We build our characters. We want to actually go in there and be able to sculpt as much detail as we want without being worried about where everything's going to go. Like this on. And of course, too, we would probably notice as well is we're using geometry. We do our sculpts, so we want to make sure that we don't lose any detail when we do our geometry. That's it's very important to actually make sure that when we model the character's mouth, we go deep enough in the canal so that we don't lose anything. And also bear in mind that we have teeth and tongue in the character's mouth. So I'm going to keep painting and sculpting until we get far enough into the character's mouth that I can carefully start moving around points in there. We go ahead and hide the teeth and mouth. And yes, he looks pretty mad at us right now before we just did to his face, but that's okay. You know, we want to actually make sure we can go deep enough to the canal of the mouth there. And see right here, this is where we want to be. You actually have to close so that clothes don't get in our way. So basically, if I turn on double-sided display properties, you kind of see where I want the mouth to be. Like, I'm gonna pull this far enough so that it'll cover the teeth. So we're doing exactly that. And because we have the brush turned on and double-sided, I can just go in the mouth canal and just pull this all the way back as far as possible, so that we can get the detail we want in there. I usually do this all the time when I'm modeling characters. I want the what do you call it, the mouth cavity to cover the teeth. Do exactly that. Also, while being aware too, we have on a cheekbone here, and that we don't draw too much on there. We don't want to draw past this. Casing. Right now we just ran a geometry. Okay, we want to fix it right now. You know, with Dynamesh, run on geometry, that's okay. Go back, tweak it, and then keep working. So this is the mouth bag, and this is the inner ear chamber. We don't worry about that at all right now. So we go in, just keep pulling the form out. You know, very similar to the program called Sculptress. They just learned is I think they pulled it. I think they replaced it with ZBrush Core. Another good program I've heard. It has all the bells and whistles. I mean, well, it has all the tools you need, but you know, it's without all the advanced stuff like you know, all the advanced stuff. I need to look at that too for, you know, maybe use that for like for students who are, you know, high school students who are learning how to sculpt in 3D. But yeah, usually you work on mouths and everything. Just move your model around a little bit. You know, get accustomed to moving. Get accustomed to this viewport. Move it around all the time. You know, don't stay in one place. This mouth bag here is going to be used quite well. Not texturing. I usually when I sculpt in ZBrush, I would usually cut. At least in UVs, I would cut the mouth bag into its own separate UV shell. I think for this one, I'm gonna try something different for this character. Try to keep the head all as one continuous piece. You know, I'm also gonna try another thing too, where I actually when I do my my bakes in Substance Painter later on in the series, I will show you why I keep the eyes partly closed and the mouth partly open. You know, I made mistakes when I first did this with another character, and I realized that. Let me pull this forward a little bit because it's gonna. You know, what we're doing here is we're forming the basis of the lip here. So I'll pull this out a little bit. It will give us the needed room to really go in there and sculpt the detail we need. And right here in the back, you don't want the teeth blocked off. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the geometry forward so that at least the teeth are covered up here. Exactly this. You notice how it's going to push out? Okay, we want that. We basically do not want the mouth bag clipping with the teeth. So that's something that I don't want ever models to happen like that, to clip. It clips a little is okay, but you know, I'm trying to minimize the clipping effect. The clipping on this model as much as possible, but you hear like a bottom of the tongue. mouth bag. I'm gonna go in and just move around the pieces a little bit. Any questions at all about this on my process? Definitely feel free to add a comment, add in a comment below, and I'll answer your questions. That's the best of my ability. Right now, too, the brush is working now, so we'll just move brush, and then we get in the character's mouth, we'll smooth all this out. See, a little clipping is okay, but I'm trying to minimize it as much as possible, so that in the bake, so that we bake the character, we won't worry about tracing errors. But other than that, though, like programs like Sculpting Designer and Painter have a feature where basically, as long as the mesh is the same name, it won't draw over it, which is great, which is a real godsend. Because in the past, the old-fashioned way, you have to like take your model, explode it, and all that stuff, and for me, it's very cumbersome, and sometimes you just want to get the model in the program, bake, and be done with it. So I'm kind of go ahead and it looks pretty mad here. So like he's grimacing, like he's like, "Hey, grab my face." Like he's kind of grimacing a little bit. So anyway, go ahead in there and start pushing points. Good. So we also want to go in and start smoothing out the stuff here. So let's go over here. Point a little bit. Start pulling up the edges. So let's have a little bit of volume in the mouth bag, and also too that volume also helps us with lip thickness and placement. Like right here, like you see how see right here how the lip right now doesn't feel cohesive yet. We're gonna fix that now. We're gonna fix that right now and Dynamesh everything, and hopefully we don't get any tracing errors with Dynamesh. Okay, so we're pushing a polygon count of 316,000 for his head. I mean, if that once I have to get apologized and get a polygon count, it's probably gonna be a little bit more. His face looks a little bony here. So we go back and I'm gonna fix this now. Fix a little so that we can, when we model the character, we can have a little more work on him. Like double for a minute, and then we'll go in and just start smoothing out like little bits of polygon that might have gotten trapped in the character's face, trapped in the geometry. I'm going in and just smoothing out a little bit, and also adding some volume to the lip. So that's the area that we need to add volume to. I'm going a little bit and just smoothing out the bottom lip a little bit. And thankfully we have backface. I still have backface masking enabled on the brush, so I can go in and start, adding volume to like right here at the bottom on the upper lip. We lose that volume because we took, like, brushed the top of the mouth bag and it went forward. So we want to try to fix as much as possible in this one. Go ahead and start brushing up the lip a little bit so that it'll look a little more decently. You want that volume in there to like really look like it's a man's lip, so we won't expect anything too full or anything. So we'll move back on. See the model is there's a gap in the teeth. We're trying to fix that as much as possible. So I'm trying to fix the shape of the mouth a bit. In the Dynamesh too, so that's another thing why when I model the character's lips, I model them with a slight part to the lips. So apparently what happens is we model this way. We model the lips together. The Dynamesh will it'll stick them all together, and we don't want that happening. So we're going to make sure that when we model the character, we give it enough spatial real estate so it doesn't do that. So a little more mouth back here, and then we'll start we'll move on to the cheek. Let's move on to the cheek. Black. It's like, you know, basically on a real mouth, the skin of the cheek is very thin. It's pretty thin, so we do not want to have too much volume there. So basically, it's a face here. In fact, I'm gonna fix the nose a little bit while I'm here. It's all, once you have the lips in there, you gotta fix the nose too a little bit. I'm going in, tweaking the shape a bit. I'm going in and just tweaking the shape right now. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and start the lip volume a little bit as well. So let's for Dynamesh. There we go. And hopefully nothing stuck together and like that, because we need the lips. We need the lips to be ready. All right, so with the flattened brush, what you like to do is start flattening out the edge, to flatten out the lip shape a little bit. Just get the shape of the lips we want. In fact, I could also use a Dana brush and start sketching out the lip. Start sketching out the lip shape a little bit, and just go in and do this and that. That's kind of what I want for the lip shape. So go ahead and just flatten brush and start flattening out the lip shape just a little bit. Kind of like this little bit of the lip. Start flattening it. Start etching out the shape of the lip a little bit so that it looks. This is this guy. He'll have so small lips, nothing too crazy. We used to move topological brush, start pulling it into place. And basically with this, it takes a while to get the lips in place where you want them to. And also keeping in mind that I'm trying to avoid the lip parting as well. And my lips are too small, so I'm gonna fix that right now. I'm gonna pull the lips a little further apart. A little wider. Just a bit. Also bear in mind too that we're trying to keep them, at least looking kind of young looking, kind of mid-20s. Don't let the odds fool you right now. I don't want looking like a 50-year-old man right now. He looks 50 right now, and I want to fix that as much as possible. So I'm going here. I'm tweaking it. Tweaking the shape of the lips a little. But not too wide open, not too closed that the Dynamesh will stick to lips together. I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. So if I do it now, It should be fine. Hopefully. The lips won't. Yeah. See in the corner of the mouth? You saw the geometry kind of bond together right there. And that's one thing we're trying to avoid. At this point, I could probably stop dynameshing now and keep modeling. I have enough geometry to really support my modeling process. So, let's see, a little clay build up, and I want to kind of going in. Oops. Get some strength down the brush. Kind of bring the bottom up a little. Bring the like under the bottom lip is a little like want the has some sort of separation between bone and between muscle, between skin and bone underneath. And of course, too, when I turn his head around, I want the head to be turn the head around and make sure that it has some sort of semblance to it. And the cat is young too, which adds an extra layer of challenge to this design. I want lips are usually very challenging for me, and I try to do a good job on the lips. Now, and of course the eyes look weird now. I'm gonna fix them. a little bit later. But we want the lips to have some sort of volume to them. So let's keep going with that. I'm gonna add the philtrum, the little soft part in your lip, philtrum. And this part of the modeling process is not for detailing. I try not to detail my models too much here when I do my sculpting. There we go. There it is. That. I want to go in there and make sure that I give the lips some kind of contour when I model it. Keep going here and also too, also the reason why the barrel shape on the mouth as well is that it helps with the mouth shape as well. We usually with model humans, I like having a barrel shape right there, so that helps the lip. Looks more rounded and less angular in the face. Actually, let me zoom back a little bit. This character a little bit so that we know. Right. Right now he looks like a guy in his 30s right now, and I'm trying to avoid that look. Let's see for a second and look at it. I'm trying to go in and see how close the mesh is right now to the Dynamesh. Good. I'm trying to avoid any kind of interpenetration between these two layers here, so that when I retake the model, it doesn't mess up on me. Fix it up. We fix the mouth there, the roof of the palate of the mouth. And this step is very important too, because it helps. Also helps with when I create blend shapes, my characters. I thought they put in adding blend shapes in version 4.6, I believe, or 4.7. I'm not sure what version they added it in, but blend shapes are awesome in ZBrush. They're easy to create, and I reckon it's anybody using blend shapes for any kind of the modeling process in there, like for film or games. It's really good for that as well. And also too, I also learned I use Moto 10. And I learned that I can use I can model my characters in high detail, Mask on this so I don't draw accent. I can draw my I could draw the characters. I could draw the character. You know, draw the wrinkle maps and draw the wrinkle maps and things of that nature. And then using a weight map, I can blend. I can blend the my wrinkles, my skin sliding over bone, and everything. It's pretty cool stuff to see. I mean, I'm still very blown away that a lot of visual effects artists do that stuff. Even to this very day, it blows me away when I see that stuff. It's awesome. I'm trying to make sure that I don't hit the teeth there. Teeth. That's what I don't want. I'm gonna end up pulling the lip forward a little bit anyway, so let's do that now. Oops. And of course, I want to make sure I add that little ridge in the lip. Try to go and smooth the part up a little bit. I guess I want to go through all of the model and look around and that looks to me. Actually, too, let me go ahead and add some start bridge together the cheekbone and nose area. So I'm going to bridge it together. And for this character, I don't want any smile lines on this guy. He's I'm trying to keep him looking young as possible. Kind of go in here and just put the bottom together. And also keep in mind that I have not worked in the eye area yet. So basically, the cheekbone, he's a pretty young guy. Try to keep him young as possible, at least for session. And it might change a little later, depending on my artistic choices. I'll go in a little bit. And, as I mentioned earlier, too, Dynamesh is not for detailing right now. We just want the form going. And the downside to do zero mesher is that if I modify my surfaces, it modifies the entire model, and you have to go back and keep modeling it. So trying to avoid that process. The lip. I'll go to quick Dynamesh. As I mentioned before, it's going to join the surfaces, and we're trying to fix that, trying to avoid that as much as possible. Edge out there a little bit. Start just brushing the surface down a little more. So we'll go ahead and just. Sometimes too, when I model, I also like to change my material too when I'm modeling. just to get an idea of how the model looks in the eyes. Right now it's that smile line's too heavy, so get rid of that a little bit. Bear in mind that we have not touched the eyes yet. We'll go ahead and just use the move tool a little bit and pull the lips a little wider, just a little bit, so that it'll look somewhat look like, you know, it looks readable to me as the lips. So I'm going to kind of blend the lip and the cheek muscle together. And I want that little dimple in the corner of the mouth. That's another great feature of the lips that you tend to look at when you look at a person. The corners of the mouth. And go there and start on. And of course, I'm gonna save this real quick while I'm working. You know, basically, it's important to save. Saving is your best friend when you're working in ZBrush. Here and start. Actually, too, at this point, I'm going to start using a subdivision level just to make it work. So go ahead and just smooth this out. The eyes aren't going to bother me now, so let's look at the eye. So right here. There we go. What we'll do now is we'll take try to smooth the eye socket a little bit so that the character looking really old, but he's more like a, you know, you can feel looking young. Kind of go over there and start brushing the surface in. And also too, in the next process of this character design, I also like to model the character's eyes half closed, which also helps with baking too. Because what happens is when you bake the character eyes open, you'll sometimes draw the eyelid, like right here. I want a little ridge right there, a little ridge. Like I'll draw it real quick. I go like this right here. I go like this. A little fold of skin. When I close the eye, when I have the eye half closed, I don't want that line there. Because of the texture. It looks pretty weird too, especially in cutscenes. And things up close. Alright, so let's go ahead and, so I remember correctly, I'm on that eye socket. Oops. That this little kind of about that feature of the eye socket. Give me 1 second to think. We don't crashing. No, don't crash. I also got that that feature for interactive lighting. So we'll try to do covers. Give it a second here to recover. And also bear in mind that I've already saved, so it's important to save early, save often, as I always do. I get paranoid when I don't save my work and I lose it all. All right, so I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna close and reopen ZBrush. So stay tuned. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Had a little crash here with ZBrush. I'm back. So I'm not continuing where I left off. I'm gonna connect. I'm gonna connect the. I'm gonna connect this little have the nose connected to the rest of the cheek. So I'm gonna go in and just start sculpting that detailing. Oops. At this point, I'm probably gonna end up using zero measure now. At this point, or increasing the subdivision level on this model. I usually don't work this high, but you know it's cool. I'm able to do all this with no problem. When I'm gonna pull the corner of the lip. It's important to move the model around the viewport and see what works, what doesn't work. You know, and make changes you see fit. Kind of going in. Oops. Just gonna go ahead and just you can probably hear my pen scratching my being board pretty good right now. You know, it kind of shows I mean business. I'm kind of going there and start doing everything together. And basically, what I'm trying to do is keep the character looking young, like, you know, might have like his 20s, maybe early 30s. You know, a guy's had a hard life, and so I'm kind of going in and just I'm going adding that ridge right there on the lip. You know, and like lips, like eyes and lips, you know, they're all different, which makes this process so much more rewarding. I'm going in and kind of trying to soften up parts of the model a bit so that I can add stuff on the these lips feel, you know, a bit more fleshy. Because lips are not easy to do. I'm kind of going in and trying to add detail needed. You know, even here in the nose as well. I'm gonna make sure that we go in there and start adding nasal detail to the character's nose and all that. A bit more. I'm also cutting away some clay so that the cheekbones aren't so prominent in this character. You know, I'm also trying to keep them young too, so that head there start adding little bits and bobs and little bits of detail on the character's head. You know? So I'm going in here and start you know? You probably noticed too that I'm all over the model. When I work on my characters, I'm everywhere on the model. You know, basically I want to be able to go in and start adding detail when needed. And at this point, I'm probably going to start adding the I can probably add one division level to this character and start really working on this detail. Like right here, I'm gonna start cutting in geometry, cutting the eye socket in, you know, and redefine where I want it to be. It's so I'm kind of going in and just cutting underneath this eye socket there and try to go in there and go in there and fix up parts that I don't want part of the model. And it also helps to have many matte caps in ZBrush too. There's a couple I like using the most in ZBrush. This is one of them. You know, usually of course it also helps give the eye something to look at as well when you're sculpting. Right now the the head looks okay. I want to add a little more. I'm like right here. There's a little edge I want to add on this, so I'm going to shoot the cheekbone up and start sculpting that part just a little bit so that it'll give the model some visual interest. So I'm gonna kind of going in and start drawing out. You know, sometimes I model too. I like going in really strong with the brushes. Start, you know, cutting away parts I don't want. I'm going to the model a little bit. So I'm gonna start shaping the eyeball now, and just turn off tight mesh. So, you know, because we have enough geometry now to start really modeling the character where we see fit. And start. So use a flatten brush to start flattening out the bottom of the eye a little bit, so that we have you know, like this with a brush. You know, kind of going in and flushing out the bottom of the eye a little bit. Now, basically, because of his character, you know, he worked a lot of odd jobs. He was, you know, guy. He's like still a young man, but was very tired. You know, working a lot, and you know, kind of like me sometimes. Work a lot, I feel tired, and usually your eyes are first to show it. I'm going in and just trying to fix the eye sockets, the eyes a little bit, so that when I go in there, a little bit with a brush and actually, let me go back to my little signature model. Turn back on Dynamesh. Okay, good. I want to do a little more work of the eye area, so let's go here. Mask off parts of the face and eyes. We'll draw from there. So I'm gonna go in here and start pulling out the like the mouth. I'll pull up the eye sockets a little bit. It's a little, so that we don't have because in reality, of course, it's not gonna matter because in the game you won't see this much, but it helps me a little bit too when I model the eye. When I have the eye model, the eye sockets modeled. You know, it's like a little sack in the eyeball, or something like that. Well, yeah, I'm gonna pull this out a little bit so that to add the eye volume. To add the eye volume, we can actually, we can start, adding the rim of the eye and making sure that, so that the eye, so it reaches the eye. So the rig of the eye can look, decent enough to work for us. So we're gonna go ahead and hold on a second here. Kind of looking at my I'm kind of looking at my screen here and trying to look for references to eyes. It's like I'm trying to look here on my screen, looking at facial muscles and references and all that. And so I'm kind of going over here as well, and I want to use a move brush and start pulling in the just a little bit so that it gives so we have so we can we model the eye, look like it's wrapping around the orbit of the eye a little bit. And no, we're not. For this character, we're not going for that total recall look to the eye. But I want to make sure that the eye has some sort of surface settings to it, so that we go in there, we can definitely start modeling the corner membrane of the eye. And his eyes are. I want his eyes to be close a little bit too, so I'm going to do just that. And as mentioned earlier too, and part in detail phase 2, when I finish the characters detailing, I'm going to actually model the character. I'm gonna model the character with his eyes with the eyes half closed, so that when I add detail in my character, when I add details and when I bake in Substance Painter, we won't get any kind of weird artifacts in the eyes. That's one thing I wanted to avoid this time when I do my my bakes. I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna go too deep in there. Let's pull it out. And usually my detail phase, I will usually model the corner membrane of the eye into the mesh. I do not model separately. Although most artists will. I tend to feel that I have enough geometry just to go in there and start modeling it as I see fit. And kind of see where the eye is. Let me turn off the shadow. Turn the shadow right down on this because it's really strong right now. I have something like 4 or something like that. There we go. If I'm trying to emulate the settings from ZBrush version 3, I was in here years ago. And for the life of me, I can't remember what they are. So I'm just trying to get the shaping the way I want it to, and then we're gonna go in and start detailing everything a little bit. Clay toothbrush. Okay. So here we go. I got a little more resolution on this, so I can go to town and start modeling this a little more. There we go. Kind of adding to the rim of the eye there so that it'll look eye rim. And I want to go, you know, basically the character looks tired and everything. Poor guy. You know, works odd jobs and good little age to him. I might change my mind later on, depending on how I feel with the character. Let's fill the eyeball. A bit of color there. And so that I can see the eye better. Having all one color is kind of confusing at times, so here we go. Right, it's better. Feel like red. Yeah, feel kind of like a red, so I can see everything a little better. And we'll go ahead and start adding details to the eye and everything. So I'm kind of going in and trying to fix the eye a little bit so that it has a little bit of roundness to it. So, and also to pull the corners down just a little bit. Put a mask on it so that it'll just kind of go in there. So I'm gonna fix the eyes a little bit so that. And remember too that you want the eyes to be 5 eyes wide. So again, keep that in mind too. We're creating working our character. Here to here. I'll remember what I did earlier, but let's turn on our grid. Turn our floor again. Off. Good. That's about right. I'm trying to remember what I called it earlier, and yeah, that's about right. But of course, we can make the eyes a little bit larger, just for artistic taste. So the eyes are kind of closed right now. I'm gonna open up a little bit, open up a little more, so that they're a little wider. Sometimes the creating eyes is not an easy thing to do. I'm going in there. Okay. I'm kind of trying to layer in some soften some features here in the face as well. Go ahead and just kind of go there real quick and kind of start roll it off. Yeah, that was weird earlier. I don't know what it hit on the keyboard, but turn on the light, turn on the interactive lighting. I didn't want that on. Add some depth to the eye. You know, and the best part about the working on features and characters that everyone's space is different. You know, you working like retail or public service or any kind of profession that involves working with people. You're gonna see all kinds of people with different facial features, and that's a beauty of character design. You know, it's beautiful when you see different facial types and different facial types, and see how a certain look, how one person looks one way may not work for another person. So it's kind of an interesting proposition here for your models when you see fit. So right here, I'm trying to remove the trying to remove some age of the character. And he's a young man. He's supposed to be a young man. I'm trying to keep him young looking. I think for any kind of designs for any characters, usually creating young people is probably the most challenging thing I've ever attempted. The youngest character I ever made was an assassin in my game, and she looks very young. If you guys get a chance, go on my Facebook page or our station, you'll see the character I'm talking about. She's probably the youngest character in the game, about 23 years of age. But also be characters I think about. Their what part of their life. What stressors do they feel? That's another important element when I do my character design work. Is the stress of the character. What challenges in their life are they facing. Right, yeah, and right here, Dynamesh is down too. This is why I'm trying to go to the next the next level subdivision so that I can fix this quicker. That's the only drawback to Dynamesh 2 is we have geometry too close together. It'll sometimes mess with your model tremendously, and sometimes if you fix it's too late. Some kind of going in and establishing where the rim of the eyelid's going to be with the brushing of Dynamesh. Same thing here in the corner of the eye. You want to make sure you brush that part out. Brush a little bit so that it looks like like an eye. And most likely after this video and after I probably trying to finalize my design, this model probably changed drastically. Like right now, right now the face is still rough, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get the face going. So, I'm trying to get the face looking one or two. So I'm kind of going with the clay toothbrush and clay tubes and start brushing down the a little bit so that it gives some sort of it gives some sort of semblance of detail on the eye there. Usually eyes and characters are usually the hardest for me, so I do I tend to take extra care when I create my character's eyes and facial details. And I think after this stage of Dynamesh, let's see what it looks like underneath. I'm just going in real quick and try to make sense of all this because it's a very difficult thing to fix your model. Make sure it looks decent too before you go over and start adding details that you're gonna regret later, that you might not like later. I'm kind of going in now and just deepening the sockets a little bit. Also, too, this will also help with keeping the model, like, you know, as with as few seams as possible. So I'm kind of going in now and just start, you know, tweaking, going in deep in the socket a little bit and adding, you know, I want to build up this ridge here of the eye. That's an important thing to build up, you know, and using a flattened brush to establish that. All the Dynamesh, we're trying to smooth it out. It's something you don't want happening. Go to display properties and turn off the double. So I can go in there and start brushing. Start brushing. So I can start deepening the eye socket a little bit, so that I'm gonna go in here and just really brush the socket in there, so that it'll look like an eyelid. You know, I basically don't want. I'll use this the little move topological brush. This, and I'll keep pulling the surface until it looks like an eye. You know, knowing that too, your eyelid is a thin muscle. Oops. Your eyelid, the lids of your eyes are actually very much thinner than this. Kind of going in and just making my adjustments to make sure that the eye itself, it'll encapsulate the entire eye, so that, you know, so it's not one flat looking. You know, basically your eye socket's not a flat surface. It's, you know, it's a, you know, this, you know, you have an eyeball, you have an orbital organ in there. There's muscles in there. You have a tear duct in the eye as well, and you want to make sure you include that in your design. Right now, at this stage, I'm not ready to detail yet. There's still much more work to do, blocking the character's facial features. And you know, yes, it seems long-winded, but, you know, it's important. If you want to ensure a clean-looking model, you need to take the time to put it all together. Now, it's something, like I said earlier, it's not a race. You know, to finish the fastest, you want to make sure that your models. I mean, sure, if you're working at a company or a deadline, yes, you want to make sure that you're handing your best work as fast as possible. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to, you know, half-ass your work. You know, because especially in a field like the visual effects field, you know, where basically time is money. You know, here at home, I have unlimited time. I can spend a whole day on this if I wanted to, and not have any issues with quality. But, you know, you want to, you know, work on this, work on your craft as much as possible. Spend part of the day doing your work so that it looks decent enough to looks decent. Right, so I'm kind of going in here and establishing the volume under the eyelid, so that when we actually go ahead in and add the eyeball, and it's right here, it's right that it starts. You know, I want to keep this lower lid level as possible, so I'm going to go ahead and just pulling up the eyelid a little bit. So we're going to go here and start exactly that. Because of the lack of resolution, it's going to look really weird at first in the corner of the eye. It's only pointed, but we're going to fix that once you add another subdivision level and really start, you know, tightening up the detail in this model. Right now too, the head looks wide, but, you know, because we're in perspective. That's a weird part about modeling humans too, is that it'll look weird too. It'll look kind of weird when you're modeling a character, and you notice that the head and the face look very different, very weird to look at. It's kind of why we build our characters. We tend to move all over the model. Trying to fix it a little bit, and also bring the corner of the eye, bring the corners a little bit. This is why we look at our model at all angles. Kind of going in there and pulling out the detail a little bit, so that it'll look good enough. It'll look for us, which we're trying to do. So I'm kind of going in, just pulling in the detail a little bit on the character's cheek, and just little by little. Usually I spend like about a few hours, endlessly tweaking this model until it feels natural to me. And today is not that day, so I'm kind of keep the video under an hour and a half session. And I've also noticed too that when I'm recording myself, I get faster every time I record myself. So basically, it's like someone's watching me, and basically, who's watching me is you, the audience, the fans, on my YouTube channel. Kind of important to try to get in there and get this in there. Looks very square jawed. I'm not sure how I want to look, but right now he looks older. I'm trying to make it look younger, so eyes are okay. What I'm trying to do is fix any issues before we re-dynamesh, and then go up one subdivision level. I'll kind of smooth that a little bit. Try to go a little bit and start doing some tweaking and everything. And also recording process too prevents me from this level of endless tweaking that I usually do. And this is good for me, good exercise to get faster on my modeling work. Doing recordings, it greatly speeds everything up. Okay, so let's go over here real quick and start looking at the model. And I'm gonna dynamesh one last time to this. Just give it a second to project. Pretty good. Looks pretty good there. I'm gonna go back there and start really doing, and having really going there and start adding detail to it. So let's go ahead and try to get an idea of what we're looking for. So I'm kind of going there and looking at one last time. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add a subdivision level. It's 2 million polygons. I think that is plenty now to start really going in there and detailing stuff and adding like the eye socket, and adding a proper eye socket and tweaking details. So let's go in here now and start tweaking the hell of the stuff. I'm looking right now at my model and start pulling that stuff. And usually on heads, when I work on the base model, so for like dynameshing, I never go this high. But I think for this particular character, for learning new workflows, I'm making an exception. I'm going in here and just create a quick mask. Start tightening up stuff. mentioned earlier, I'm going to add the little membrane in the corner of the eye. I'm going to go back at the subdivision level and use a flattened brush and use the toothbrush. Start drawing the outline in the eye a little bit. And we'll start, brushing down a little bit to create the contour on our eye. And so right here in the corner there, I want to fill this in. So I'm going to start just keep going and draw this little corner of the eye there, so that and also bear in mind too that the that membrane corner of the eye, you won't really see it often, but I usually try to indicate that in my eye, so that the only time you ever see it really is up close on somebody, and I want to actually just indicate that in the character's eye. It's blocky right now, but once we get into like the topology phase of this character, and we start building a low poly mesh for this. Let's turn off the dynamic brush size for a second and really get in there and start brushing in there. I'll go in there and start adding that little membrane in the corner of the eye. That's a very important part of the eye. It makes it adds a level of believability to the adds a level of believability to the character. So I'm kind of going here and looking at the model. So it looks like, he looks kind of old right now. I'm still trying to make him look young, like very young feel to the character. I don't want him looking too old at this point. So I'm trying to make him look. That's what the challenge for character modeling is, creating a character that looks young to the eye. Like if I can look at if I go on Google real quick and look on look up images of young men, images of young men, and young men who are in a certain age range. Like let's go mid 20s. Basically like the mid 20s. You want to make sure that you try to basically, I want to actually have the look of a young man, so we want to make sure that he looks not too young, not too old either. So I'm trying to fix that right now in this model. So I'm kind of going into some brushing out some of the age in this guy, trying to anyway. Probably roll the eye a little bit, a little wider, just to have some semblance of like spatial awareness in the eye. I'm also going to indicate where I want that flap of skin right here later. Now we're going to focus on just making sure the character feels, his age and stuff. Use quick tubes again, kind of go in there and fix the eye socket. But basically, we have 500,000 polygons right now too, so we'll have plenty to work with in here and start tidying up the surface a bit. Use a pinch brush the edges a little bit of this, so that during topology we have a clean model. See in here, I'm going to pinch it. Use a pinch brush, start pinching the edge of the model a bit so that we get the eyelid working. I'll also pinch the inside of the eye as well, so that we get the And also modeling the head this way too, because we also have a version of this character that's soon later on down the line. You know, creating a piece for him after this one's done. So kind of going in and start, you know, brushing out the eye a little bit. So kind of going in right now, kind of going in and fixing the face a little bit. Sure, it's gonna look weird right now, but something I can always fix. And once the model gets apologize too, it'll make the fix this model a hell of a lot easier. So I'm feeling my eyeball, my brow ridge right now, and I want to kind of make it a little smoother, a little bit, because there's some muscle in the face, so I can start adding character to his face now and really go in there and start like right over here. I can start adding a little bit of character to his face right now as well. Kind of like this, and also when I go over to how the remeshing phase, I'm going to close the eyes slightly so that I can actually add that fold in the eye that I like, so add that fold in the eye that I like so much. You know, it'll also be I'll also show this layer too in another video with the detail in the character. I'm almost near my time here. You know, I want to show the phases and amount of detail I need in the character. Right now, I'm kind of blending the skin and muscle in here over the bone. You know, so that doesn't look too abrupt. I'm looking at the model right now, looking around and see how it feels to my eyes. And of course, right here, I'm gonna go back, and this is why it's important to tumble your model, the viewport around. You know, basically, you don't want to stay in one place. You don't want to stay in one place too long, and you lose objectivity. You stay in one place too long. Fix the lower eye because I don't like it. I want the lower eye to be kind of like kind of flat. You know, you look at someone's eye, you notice you notice with some people's eyes, the lower lid usually kind of level times. Not everybody, but you know, this character is Caucasian, and I want to make sure his eyes are level. Real quick and fix this. So also done in the past as well is I usually in character modeling I model the symmetry turned on, so that has always helped quite a lot. Go real quick and start modeling the inner membrane of the eye, which is usually connected to a series of muscles in the face. There you go. So basically, you know, also too, you work in your model, try to hide the parts of it so that from perspective, it's gonna be crazy. There we go. So you try to hide parts of the model, and this is a brush. This is I think it's one of the best innovations of the last few years of 3D modeling and sculpting. I know a lot of studios use ZBrush a lot, and basically it is. You know, if you're an artist and you need to create a sculpt, this program is it's so powerful. Like you can't, I guarantee you, like anytime I do an asset in 3D, it'll always go through ZBrush. Always. At least 95% of my assets have gone through ZBrush. Especially if it's a human, or especially a human being, a human character, or high detail prop. Sometimes I also use if I can't do it in ZBrush right away, I also go to Modo 10 and use the procedural modeling tools there to really go there and detail your model. So it's kind of cool though to really go in there and be able to sit down and create this. So basically, I'm gonna go in a little more and start shaping the eye socket. We have plenty of polygons to work with, so it's kind of cool. And I know we don't do this. I know we don't do this because I often make sure that I have enough polygons to work with. So kind of going in there and start brushing the eye socket just a little bit. I basically want that ridge of the eye, that ridge right here of the eye socket. And I'm not quite finished yet either with the detailing. I'm just gonna, after this video, I'm gonna take a nice little break and reevaluate my model detail. I want to make sure that I'm able to model the detail I want with topology, a full-on detailed pass with the character. I can see what I'm going to be working on. And unfortunately too, these models do get heavy. So I'm sorry, the video file gets pretty heavy. So it's kind of what I've been, when I do the take, I do it in parts. And there's also a next day in Boston, and I want to go and enjoy some of it after the session's over. So basically, I want to start drawing on this rim right here. Add a rim to this so that kind of going in with the rim and pinch brush and start pinching this right here. I want to pinch this and pinch around this so that it'll have some sort of so that because a little so the eye feels like it's part of the head a little bit, like right here. I'm gonna draw right here and start fill this a little bit. There you go. I just take in here and start pinching the inside of this model. Like that. And right here, it needs to be smooth, so I'm trying to make it smooth in one stroke. So I'm going to tighten up the corner of the eye a little bit. You're seeing with this one, just pull it down. So increase the corner of the eye. You want that corner of the eye to look like a corner of the eye. Almost there. Almost there. So we go back and just fix this real bit. Looks like it's around the eye and not just sitting there. I'm going in. Yeah. I'm going in. Actually, how many guys like Bob Ross? It's a pretty He still is very dead, a very popular artist. You know, although he died in the '90s, he's still one of my favorite artists. You know, his channel is like, you know, still so full of inspiration. To, you know, go in there and create. You know, and I guess the same could apply for 3D. You know, anyone can 3D model. It's got to, you know, practice. Got to dedicate time to practice and make you work feel like it's yours. Here we go. I'll go back a little bit and see what I need to fix. Next, so I need to fix the lips now. Oops. So kind of go in there and start. I need to flatten the brush and start and just flatten up the lip a little bit. I'm going in and start flattening the parts of the lip so that it looks a little more believable to me. So I'm trying to go in there and fix the lip a little bit so that it'll look just kind of go in there and just, not like a smile, but you know, maybe I should do a mask in the bottom of this and actually fix the model a little bit. I don't want my no, yeah, just so I can fix the corners of the mouth on the top of the lip. Basically, with this, I want the not a sharp corner, but give the lip a little more shape to it. And I'm gonna most likely end up creating a polygon for this, so I can fix the lip later. If I feel like the lips are not up the par up the shape that I want. This is the brush I was telling you about. It pulls everything, pulls every damn thing. It's great too, but you know, you want to go in there and start put that ridge back on the lip. It was. Go in there and start do that a little bit. Use a pinch brush and start pinching the edge a little bit so that creates the little ridge of the lip you have in the character. So you see the whole face looks like. Back a little bit. I just go in, sculpting out the shape and that lip ridge. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna go ahead and put everything together, and I want that little pucker look there. All right, so I'm looking right now. It's okay, but I'm trying to make him look a little younger. But I think that's all the time we have for this video. So I'm gonna just stop here. Just go ahead and put the entire character what it looks like, with everything added to him. As of right now, he's looking a little old to my taste, but with a little bit of more work and refinement, I can definitely make him look and feel younger. So in ending, this has just been a nice modeling session of character modeling for the face. And in the next video, which will probably time lapsed, will be the refinement phase. So until next time, this is Kashiv saying, have a joyous day, happy arting, and if you like what you saw today, you subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, leave a like. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.